How's it going, everyone? So today I'm waiting on some copper so I can finish testing my coil machine. So until then, I've got another project I'm working on, and it is a powder coat oven. So I'm going to see if I can make it work with a 2.3 kilowatt heat strip. Kind of skeptical about whether I'm going to get the heat high enough on the strip because it's from an old ptac unit. I'll show you that in a minute. But I'm going to use this cabinet, and it's full of holes, but I'm pretty confident I can get it sealed up. And I got some silver backing fiberglass insulation I'm going to line it with. I've got some pieces of it for now, and I'll have to get some more later. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. Alright, so here's the insulation I'm going to line it with. It's just fiberglass from like a inside a furnace, which is where this heating element's from. It's from a ptac unit, like I said. I'll show you that here. So this is the inside of the unit, and you got your fan and your strip. It's 2.3 kilowatt. This is from an old unit, something I recycled, and I really hope it works, but I'm kind of skeptical about how hot the element's actually going to get. Since it's not for a stove, this is for heating and air, so I'm not really sure. But these are designed to have air circulating around them, so I would think in order to get the heat that you need after the airflow, this should get at least, I would think it should get over 400 degrees without air circulating. So my plan is to cycle the element on and off, say on like a minute, and then kick off for 10 seconds or something like that, or 30 seconds on, 10 seconds off. I'll have to figure out to where I can maintain the heat I need as long as I can get that. So before I can even mount this thing, the first thing I want to find out is how hot is it really going to get. And I've got it rigged up here to where my heater normally is, but I've got it undone. It's just a little wall heater, and I've got to turn it on and off with putting my a jumper in there. So that's going to be challenging, but I'm going to see what happens. I'm kind of excited to see how hot this thing really gets. Alright, so I've got the camera mounted here, and where I can see this, and I've got it right in the middle. So now I'm going to start cycling it on and try to capture what I can. Alright, it's been on for about 8 seconds. I'm trying to count in my head and talk here at the same time. So I'm going to just try to wing it here. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and kick it off real quick. Alright, it's been off for 8 seconds. It's going to start losing some heat. Kick it back on. Alright, I've kicked it back to an on cycle again. It's up to 300 degrees, plus or minus 10, given this Syntec Harbor Freight. So I'm doing another off cycle real quick. Like I said, these things are made to have air blowing through them, so I don't really want to damage the element by leaving it on. but it's getting close. Alright, so it did reach 400 degrees. I'm on the off cycle again. I'm just going to let it sit off for about 15 seconds. Then I'm going to kick it back on. Alright, after the off cycle is just below 400 degrees. It's been on for about 25 seconds now. And it's up to 420. And this is right on the center. They don't all read the same. So it's at 430 now. I kicked it off. So if I get my timing right, I get it back on now. It's going back up. If I get my timing right, should just be able to cycle this thing on once I reach a certain temp, or just cycle it on and off to get it up to that temp. I think this should work. Alright, so I think my element's going to get hot enough. And the cabinet's plenty big enough. This is just something I think came from Menards several years ago. I don't know if they still sell these or not, but like I said, it's hold up as long as I can insulate it good. And I got a bunch of foil tape I'll throw in there. And should be able to get the temp up inside there. I'll have to figure out something about the doors and the best way to seal them up. And this cabinet's kind of off balance where it's sitting there. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to deal with that too. So it just might work. It's a little overkill, but I do want to be able to powder coat a motorcycle frame. So I need some space. But I do have some shelf that go in here. Maybe I could utilize that too, and some more, lower that down to cut the amount of space down only as far as the elements will go, and make it smaller so it'll be more convenient that way. Like maybe put a shelf in there and then put some more fiberglass insulated on top to keep the heat down below or whatever. But I think this is going to work. The element's going to be good. And the cabinet's plenty big enough. And it was either going to be this cabinet or this one, which I didn't really want to use this one. This one's actually pretty nice. It came from Harbor Freight, and it's pretty cool. I got this in one of the, it's a parking lot sale. Got a really good deal on it. Yeah, there may be some plastic parts I may have to tend to and do something different about. And these doors are, I don't know. I'll figure something out. I'll make it work. But for now, this is as far as I've got with it, and I'm going to continue to build this, probably just upload this, and if you have any ideas, I'd like to hear them. But hopefully this 2.3 kilowatt strip does the trick, and I don't need to get like a stove element, so I don't have access to one of those. But I saved this heat strip for something. Maybe this is it. I had just enough to line the whole inside, plus the doors. Both the doors. And on the inside, the crack of the door. Sealed that all up. The whole thing is sealed up really good. As good as I'm going to get it anyway. I used a whole lot of foil tape, a whole roll, plus some of another roll of the Harbor Freight stuff. So hopefully it sticks good. But it's turned out pretty good. Now the element's like 43 inches long, so I'm going to mount it, I think, on the side. I'm going to try to come up with some kind of fan. I don't know what I have. I'm sure I have some kind of scrap part, maybe with some metal blades, all metal fan that I can use. But yeah, it's coming together. I think it's going to work good. I was able to get the temp up on the heat strip earlier. And now I've got this line. I'm going to mount the heat strip, get the wiring in there. I've got to mount a breaker on this side. The heat strip's going to be on this side and the wire's going to come in this side. So I'm also going to incorporate a timer and might even hook this up to where I use control it with a phone or tablet or something. Alright, we'll get to the next steps and show the progress in. I've got the oven up and running, and right now I'm just running 120 volts to the element right now. So it's running about 4.6 amps, about 550 watts, 560 watts. But it's been on for about 30 minutes. I'm just kind of curious, will this 120 volts bring out the temperature I need at 500 watts? This element is amazingly efficient. I hooked it up last night and was playing around with it and was just really amazed at how hot the element got at 120 volts. So that's what made me try this out. So before I go up to the 240 volts, I'm testing this just to see if this is something I can just leave hooked up for 30-45 minutes and let it run without having to worry about switching the power on and off. Because I'm trying to be a little more efficient, trying to get this a little more efficient than what a stove is. I don't want to be drawing gobs of current and energy that I don't really need if I can make it work with something else. But anyways, so I'm about ready to open this up, but I just wanted to show the outside. The outside of the cabinet's roughly 80 degrees, probably medium, but you get up close by the door, you got a little more. And this temp gun's just a little bit off, so if I go just slightly up above it, see I'm getting about 121 degrees from the crack there. So I don't really know what the ambient temperature is inside. I do have a fan in there. Hopefully the fan's holding up alright. Last time I did check was maybe 10 minutes ago and the element was up to 300 degrees. But that was just the element. That's not the whole case. So might still have to be using the 240 volts. So, but the rest of it's doesn't hurt to touch. I had some questions about whether this cabinet was going to hold up, but I got it insulated really good inside. Except for right here, I might have to add me another latch right here from the outside to push this in just a little bit more. And I'm still using the latch with the key that comes with it. It does have some plastic up here. I don't know if that's going to get melted. Everything else, there's nothing really else in the cabinet that's plastic that I know of, unless there's something behind this key lock that might be plastic. But these two little grommets up here are plastic, and behind the heat strip, I'll show you that in a minute, it has some foam behind it, but it's flame retardant, so it should be okay as well. The only concern I have at this point is the fan, which doesn't have metal blades, but we'll see. Alright, so I'm going to try to creep this thing open just a little bit, where I can still measure it. So let's see what it's got. Alright, well, it's at 400 degrees. That's right on the element though. So I'm going to let it run for another 5 minutes and then I'm just going to turn it off and then open it up and check. I've got a stainless bowl in there. I just want to see how hot it is. It's sitting on the bottom and it's probably not as hot as I'm hoping it's going to be, but we'll see. Alright, so turn it off and open it up. Here's what I got going on. Downside is this thing is so long, and that's all I have. It doesn't fit at the bottom, so I had to mount it to the side, which is probably going to cause a problem. So I might end up having to use the stove element after all. It's just something I'll have to buy though. Just trying to use this because I already had it. But the fan seems okay. For the temp that was in here now, the inside is like 150 degrees. I think it's cooled off a little now. 250 degrees, I mean. So yeah, this pod's cooled down quite a bit. It's still cooling, obviously. So it was a failure at 120 volts, which was kind of expected, but you never know until you try, really. It actually did better than what I thought it was going to do, really. So now I'm going to hook it up to 240 volts to really get it hot in there. A lot hotter than what I was thinking that it's really going to have to be. I mean, I think the heat strip's going to have to be a lot hotter than what I need the cabinet to be, inside. So now I got to set up a relay so I can switch the 240 volts on and off, because I don't really want to leave that on the heat strip. I don't want to do any kind of thermal out or damage the heat strip. But I think if I had two of these, one on each side maybe, and that would still be around, it'd be under 1200 watts. It might do it with two of them at 120 volts. This at 240 volts is going to be roughly around 2.3 kilowatt. I might still need some more adjustment, maybe bring it this way. I mounted it in the corner because this piece is already made for that. It mounted on that and it was kind of preformed, so the corner fit. Just thought maybe I might try it out that way first. It's going to take some tweaking maybe to get it the way I want. But like I said, I don't want to have to buy a stove element and put it down there. I may even need two for this cabinet, but I don't want to have to do that if I don't have to. Alright, I'm back, got the 240 volts hooked up to it. I've been able to maintain temperature around 400 degrees. I had a fan in there, the fan started getting low on breath, so I kicked it off, and I think it actually made a better difference. I'm drawing 8.6 amp on the strip, and I keep having to flip it on and off with this jumper right there. Of course, I took a break for a second so I could grab my phone and record, and it's hard for me to count, so right now I'm losing temp because I've lost count. But anyways, what I was doing was 20 seconds off and 60 seconds on was keeping the temp maintained right there at 400 degrees. And I noticed when I was messing around with it, the powder coat was actually melting a lot lower temp than that. So I'm just kind of wanting to experiment with that too, see if maybe a little lower temp would work as well. But this is working alright so far. And you can see now after a minute or so being on, it went over 400 degrees. And I turned it off now, so I'm not going to keep track of the time. I'm just going to leave it off for now on. But it does reach the temp, and it does stay up there. Just had to build me a circuit to control my relay here. But the box worked out alright. I had to add this up here as ground. Of course, it's not foreground, but I used it to keep the top of the door closed. So without it, I'll lose a lot of heat right there. And I sealed up this door, and the rest of the way around, that's the only part I didn't seal up. This is kind of sealed up in between here, but it's pretty hot, so I might have to seal that up a little more. And it's smelling kind of funky, probably because of the glue on all the foil tape, so, but might have to get some ventilation over this to take care of that. But hopefully nothing in here is melted, because I haven't opened it for a while. I opened it earlier, it was up to like, see, we're not off now. All that time I've been talking, I've lost 10 degrees, which would have already went on a lot sooner than now. But anyways, what I was saying is I had it up to 330 degrees, and I opened the door just to check the temp in there. It wasn't, I don't know, maybe 5 seconds, and I already lost 60 degrees doing that. So I've had it closed all this time. I can't tell you about how long it is, maybe 20 minutes. And I had a piece of just sheet metal that I just sprinkled some powder coat on for a sample just to see. what maybe happened if I just stick it in there like that. And I noticed it wasn't even around maybe 300 degrees and it was melting. So I need to look into that a little more too, as far as like melting point and curing point. I'm pretty sure melting is around, I don't know, I have to look. Not that familiar with it yet. But we're losing temp in there now. And this is not like the temp in the center, so I don't have anything. I've still got to cut a hole out somewhere, and I'm probably going to do it on this side because I'm going to mount some other stuff here. But I'm probably going to mount a glass here to look through and measure the parts as they're being heated up so I can make sure everything's to the right temp. And I don't know if anybody's ever tried one of these meters. It's a Maztec. It's an okay meter. I mean, it's worth just for little things like this. I don't need to know the exact current of this thing, but it's good enough. Gives me a reference. Alright, so I'm going to continue on and add to this. I'm still waiting on my copper to come in. So, hopefully, well, I got the weekend. Got a whole weekend here to finish this up. Well, I guess I should have took the fan out while it was still at a lower temperature because it destroyed it. The framing is aluminum, but the blades were not. And, well, yeah, it's pretty much gone. These have cooled off quite a bit now, having the door open. It's all cooled off quite a bit. But there's a little piece I stuck in here, just with some powder on it. The light sucks, sorry. Cool. Alright, so I've pulled the piece out and it actually worked. It's all hard and it's flexible, not breaking off. And this wasn't, I mean, it's pitted and stuff, but it wasn't sprayed on, so it wouldn't have that full, coverage of using the actual static charge. I just sprinkled it on and then just kind of spread it with another piece of sheet metal. Very cool. My first powder coat experience. Yahoo. So I've got the timer built. I'm not sure why my light's on. But I got the timer built. I think I've got it kicking on for 48 seconds and off for 16, something like that anyways. I got just a temp probe in there from the meter. I've got another one running there, that blue wire. I'm going to incorporate that later. Behind here is my it's my relay circuit. I got a Cat 5 running to it from my box over here. And it's turning on the transformer, and the transformer is driving the coil and the contactor, and I'm using the contactor for switching on and off the coil. So far it's working out pretty good, and I did the small test piece last night and got it up to around 400 degrees and everything. I mean, that little piece that stuff is durable. It's pretty amazing. But I've been trying to maintain temperature around 375 to 390, 400, somewhere around there. And I got about 10 more minutes with this part in there, and it's not even a part. All it is a cheap stainless pot from Harbor Freight. I just coated the inside. Just want to see what happens with it. And I did it with orange, but not really sure what to do, so I'm just gonna color these orange. I don't really have anything offhand, and I don't know. I think these might be pretty handy in orange for someday. Who knows? So as far as this Harbor Freight powder coater, well, I don't really know until I pull this box or pull this pan or this pot out. Jeez, I'll get right in a minute. So I did have a lot of problems with the air pressure. It just seemed like it just really wanted to spew out, and I think I was running around 10 to 15 pounds. Maybe I should back it off more. But even the air adjustment on the Harbor Freight nozzle piece, I think I had it all the way down even, and it was still spraying out. So maybe I got too much air pressure there. But it did arc a couple of times. I crossed over to the pot. That's pretty interesting. I still want to take this thing apart and see what it's made of inside. So hopefully I get an opportunity to do that sometime soon. But yeah, I'm just going to color these orange. Not really going to show what I'm doing here because I really have no technique for it. Maybe later when I get a little better at it, I can show you. But I think everybody's got the idea. You can watch pros do that. But this was mainly about the oven, not this part. So the answer to my question really was, can I make an oven with a 2.3 kilowatt coil? And the answer is yes. And you can see my temp in there is 394 degrees. And it's probably not accurate throughout the whole box, but it's a rough idea, especially on the edge here. And I don't know, may have not showed, but I had to add this on there to keep the door pulled in, which is pretty hot right now. It's not, well, yeah, it's getting pretty warm. But I'm going to do these next because I just want to do them. But I'm kind of beat. The race tomorrow just kind of snuck up on me. So, alright. Thanks. So I've got the timer built. I'm not sure why my light's on. But I got the timer built. I think I've got it kicking on for 48 seconds and off for 16, something like that anyways. I got just a temp probe in there from the meter. I've got another one running there, that blue wire. I'm going to incorporate that later. Behind here is my it's my relay circuit. I got a Cat 5 running to it from my box over here. And it's turning on the transformer, and the transformer is driving the coil and the contactor. And I'm using the contactor for switching on and off the coil. So far it's working out pretty good. And I did the small test piece last night and got it up to around 400 degrees and everything. I mean, that little piece is, that stuff is durable. It's pretty amazing. But I've been trying to maintain temperature around 375 to 390, 400, somewhere around there. And I got about 10 more minutes with this part in there, and which is, it's not even a part. All it is a cheap stainless pot from Harbor Freight. I just coated the inside. Just want to see what happens with it. And I did it with orange, but not really sure what to do, so I'm just gonna color these orange. I don't really have anything offhand, and I don't know. I think these might be pretty handy in orange for someday. Who knows? So as far as this Harbor Freight powder coater, well, I don't really know until I pull this box, or pull this pan, or this pot out. Jeez, I'll get right in a minute. So I did have a lot of problems with the air pressure. It just seemed like it just really wanted to spew out. And I think I was running around 10 to 15 pounds. Maybe I should back it off more. But even the air adjustment on the Harbor Freight nozzle piece, I think I had it all the way down even, and it was still spraying out. So maybe I got too much air pressure there. But it did arc a couple of times. I crossed over to the pot. That's pretty interesting. I still want to take this thing apart and see what it's made of inside. So hopefully I get an opportunity to do that sometime soon. But yeah, I'm just going to color these orange. Not really going to show what I'm doing here because I really have no technique for it. Maybe later when I get a little better at it, I can show you. But I think everybody's got the idea. You can watch pros do that. But this was mainly about the oven, not this part. So the answer to my question really was, can I make an oven with a 2.3 kilowatt coil? And the answer is yes. And you can see my temp in there is 394 degrees. And it's probably not accurate throughout the whole box, but it's a rough idea, especially on the edge here. And I don't know, may have not showed, but I had to add this on there to keep the door pulled in, which is pretty hot right now. It's not, well, yeah, it's getting pretty warm. But I'm going to do these next because I just want to do them. But I'm kind of beat. The race tomorrow just kind of snuck up on me. So, alright. Thanks. So my first one come out, and it wasn't too bad other than just technique failure basically. I got some spots where I've got, I had too much, and I found out what the problem was with the gun. I actually was reading the thing backwards, so I actually had the air turned all the way up. So I figured that out once I did those electrical boxes, which I left the sticker on, by the way. I didn't see it, but you can see another spot or two there. But other than that, I mean, I guess I could do another coat on it and it would probably be alright. And then around the edges, I had some that fell off the gun that kind of made what looks like runs. But the finish is really cool. I mean, it's already glossy, and this is a heck of a lot easier than paint. And I like to paint, and so that's why I think this powder coat is really cool, because I do like to paint, and this is cool stuff. I don't know if I want to do the outside of this or not. I just wanted to experiment with the inside. And I think I may put another coat on it though. On the inside. And I might actually use this stainless pot for something. So far I'm impressed with this gun. Now that I figured out I had the air adjustment backwards, it actually went a little better on the other stuff. So I coated the inside of the pot again, pulled these out, and these look really cool. You see where I left the sticker on? It melted off. I didn't realize that at first. I thought the sticker was still on there. But another piece here, that's where I was blowing on it before I put it in there. And I just left it. But that's alright. It's on the back side. And this one turned out pretty good too. It's awesome. It's really cool stuff. So I put the pot back in there. And so this is what I noticed when I put those other pieces in there and I opened the doors and everything, brought the temperature back down to 300 degrees. So all I did was waited for it to get up to temperature of 406 degrees, and then I pulled it out. That took actually about 20 minutes, and at that time it looks like it's all done. So I'm gonna do the same thing here, just wait till it gets to 400 degrees and pull it out. Should be roughly about 20 minutes. I know it actually, from the other stuff I used the other day on just that little piece, it melts around 300 degrees, starts melting. So I'm guessing the curing temp maybe around 350, 375. So that's what I'm going with. Just get it up to 400 and then cut it off, or just pull it out rather. But this is excellent. I'm very excited about this. I'm not going to coat these again. Just I just wanted to see how well it's going to stick to it and everything without cleaning it. I didn't clean it all. Didn't wipe fingerprints off, and I've handled these several times. Pulled a couple of the clamps out of the ends of that I was going to use at one point, and I didn't. But I just wanted to see how it would do without pulling or wiping it off and cleaning it. And it's still a little hot, but man, the finish feels really cool. It's smooth. It's labeled yellow from Harbor Freight, and it's orange, and that is really neat. I'm impressed, actually.